The 2025 NFL Draft is just a few hours away, so coming up on today's Philadelphia Eagles Now by Chat Sports, Chase Sr. here with you. We're going to comb through the latest Eagles rumors and buzz going into draft night. There is a player, according to a report, who the Eagles really covet, who they could trade up for, and there's another player from Georgia that Howie Roseman could be eyeing, which would break a trend with what the Eagles have done under his watch in the NFL Draft. It's all coming your way, but you know what's coming up later tonight? Our live draft coverage right here on the channel. Join myself and producer Chip for the first round of the NFL Draft. Then, of course, we'll be live for day 2 and day 3 of the draft. Tonight, our coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 o'clock Pacific. That's 2 hours before the Tennessee Titans will be on the clock with pick number 1. Another programming reminder, tomorrow in the lead up to rounds 2 and 3, I will be joined right here on the show by Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. We'll recap what the Eagles did here tonight, and then we'll look ahead to rounds 2 and 3. He's tight with Howie Roseman, diehard Eagles fan. Going to be a really good conversation, so that video and show will be up on the channel as well. Let's start off with this. According to a report, the Philadelphia Eagles covet Ole Miss defensive tackle Walter Nolen, and he could be the player who the Eagles want in the first round tonight, even if they have to trade up for him. And due to character concerns, him going to a few different schools in high school and in college, Nolen could fall. That concerns some teams. And given the increased importance in defensive tackles, I would be surprised if he's there for the Eagles at number 32. So I think trading up is necessary. He might fall a little bit, but I don't think he's going to fall all the way to Philadelphia with the final pick in round 1. I think Walter Nolen is a perfect selection for the Philadelphia Eagles, and I would love it if Howie Roseman can draft him at some point in the first round. He fits the Eagles' scheme and playing style. He's an attacking defensive tackle who's explosive and athletic. He's also very aggressive from the interior. Howie Roseman puts a lot of positional value along the defensive line. Milton Williams left Philadelphia. He got a bag from the New England Patriots. Walter Nolen is a similar player who helps you replace him. And so if he does fall somewhere in the 20s, I think it's smart for Howie to try to trade up and get his guy. Eagles fans out there, we all have to root for as many quarterbacks to go off the board as possible before the Eagles start to think about who they can take with their draft pick here in the first round. So we're hoping that Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, and Jackson Dart all go ahead of Philadelphia, because that'll help other players fall either to the Eagles at 32 or within range in which a trade-up is doable. And if Nolen does have character concerns, the Eagles have the organizational structure, stability, and leaders to be able to take a chance on a player like that. We've seen this time and time again throughout Jeffrey Lurie's tenure as owner under Andy Reid, with Doug Peterson, now with Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman. And Big Dom plays a big role in vetting these prospects in the pre-draft process. And I just think that Walter Nolen fulfills what the Eagles are looking for at defensive tackle. He helps fill a need, and I think that he can be a highly impactful player for this Eagles defense. And the thought of him teaming up alongside Jalen Carter, what a great 1-2 punch that could be at that defensive tackle spot under Vic Fangio, former number 1 overall recruit in high school. He's explosive, twitchy, and violent at 300 pounds. He's good against the run. He can also collapse the pocket and get to the quarterback. I really like the motor. He plays very hard. Some of his pass rushing moves need refinement. Sometimes he can just win with brute force, physicality, strong hands, and a will to get to the ball carrier. His Pro Football Focus numbers in 2024, very impressive. Overall grade of 88.9, pass rushing grade of 75, a run defense grade, elite, 91.6. He had 6 sacks, according to the PFF numbers, 4 quarterback hits, 25 hurries. I also like the versatility with where he can line up along that defensive line. The 2 most common places that Walter Nolen lined up, B-gap for 432 snaps And then how about this? Over tackle for 103 snaps. That fits the alignment of the 3-4 and with what Vic Fangio likes to do up front with staggering some of his fronts and looks. And the Eagles have the ability to get aggressive and trade up. Chase, why is that? Well, they're loaded with quality picks this year. 8 selections, all within the first 5 rounds. And then they have a bunch of draft capital in 2026 as well. So over the next 2 drafts, the Eagles have something like 20 or 21 picks, and a majority of them are within the first 4 to 5 rounds. And they don't have a lot of needs either. So you can afford to trade up, trade away picks because I don't think they're going to make all of these selections because they don't have the roster spots to bring a bunch of rookies in to Philadelphia. There are 6 teams I've identified as teams who Philadelphia could trade up with in order to get a player like Walter Nolen, maybe even a player like Malaki Starks. The Buccaneers at 19, really good roster. They could look to trade back. The Steelers at 21, they could try to trade back and maybe get a quarterback at 32 so that they don't reach for one at 21. Green Bay Packers, roster's in a good spot. The Minnesota Vikings only have 4 picks in the NFL draft. They could trade back and try to gather more picks. The Houston Texans, Nick Caserio, like Howie Roseman, always moving up and down the draft board. And then the Los Angeles Rams, set at a lot of positions, not a lot of needs, and they too could look to trade out of the 26th overall pick. Today's poll question is this: should the Eagles trade up to draft Walter Nolen? Type T for trade, S for stay. Share your opinions with me down in the comment section right now. Our sponsor for today's Philadelphia Eagles now, our friends at Game Time. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. The more that you wait until the start of an event, the more that prices drop as the event gets closer. I was in Boston over the weekend as my best friend ran the Boston Marathon, and we had a crew of about 14 people. We all wanted to go to Fenway Park, but given the jam-packed weekend, we weren't sure until the last minute what our plans were. So at the last minute, what did we do? Pop up the Game Time app, and we bought our tickets using the code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Terms apply. First purchase only. You get the lowest price guaranteed on the Game Time app. And the more that you wait until the start of the event, you can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, but also concerts, comedy shows, theater events, and a whole lot more. Be sure to check out all of their features. Game Time Picks makes last-minute ticket buying easier and faster than ever. Zone deals, you can save even more when you choose a section and you let Game Time choose the seats. Toggle the all-in pricing tool. Therefore, you don't get hit with any surprise fees at checkout. And it's always cool how you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. We were with some parents in Boston. We showed them that feature, and they're like, wait, you can actually see what our view from the seats will be before we even get to the stadium? Yeah. What time is it? Game Time. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, use that code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. That's the code CHATSPORTS. Let's stick with Walter Nolen here, and then we'll talk Malaki Starks and another player who you might be surprised could still be on Howie Roseman's big board. Jeff McLean, Philadelphia Inquirer, obviously very plugged into the happenings of the Eagles, and he's been covering this team for a couple of decades. And how about his previous history in predicting picks? He said, I don't feel confident about any one player like I have in the last 4 drafts when I mocked Quinyon Mitchell, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, Jordan Davis, and DeVonta Smith to the Eagles. Pat self on back. Picking last will do that, although I think it's more likely Howie Roseman trades up or back than he sticks at 32. Historically, he's moved up more than back, which is why I have Walter Nolen as the most likely choice. I think there's a good chance he's not within range, say around 26 or 27, but I know the Eagles have done a lot of work on him, and they love him. There are some character concerns because Nolan's transferred a lot in high school and college, and he missed practices, but he has the athletic upside the Eagles crave in their linemen. Walter Nolen, one of the biggest names to watch for Philadelphia tonight. Another name to watch is at the safety spot. Could the Eagles trade up for Georgia safety Malaki Starks and bring in another Philadelphia Bulldog? What's interesting is that as Eagles general manager, Howie Roseman has never selected a safety in the top 50 picks of the NFL draft. That could change tonight in 2025 modern day because, number one, the Eagles like Starks. They brought him in a top 30 pre-draft visit to Philadelphia. They have a safety need. And with this Eagles roster right now, they have a lot of young players who are very talented. A lot of their core players are in place. But not having a lot of needs gives Philadelphia options. So, too, does Philadelphia having a bunch of great draft picks this year and next year, giving them the optionality where if there's a player who they like that drops into the 20s, they could package those picks to move up if they covet a player and think a draft prospect could have an impact for this team. In scouting Malaki Starks, I love the player. 6 feet, 197 pounds, good size at that safety spot. He's a very loose and fluid athlete. He's only 21 years old, but he has 42 college starts. He has the speed to cover ground, clean pedal. That speed shows up on tape. Stop worrying about the 40-yard dash all the time. I also like how he can diagnose plays. That allows you to get to a play, to make a play as it develops. If you can read and sniff things out, sometimes you can't coach that. I also like how Starks can play special teams. He's not a powerful tackler, but he's a good tackler. What's interesting is that the Eagles put a lot of value and stock in prospects who have an 8 or higher relative athletic score. Starks had an RAS of 5.29. A reason for that? The weight, according to MathBomb, at 197 pounds. The height at only 6 feet. Not a good vertical. The 40-yard dash was in a good spot at 4.5. I think that's pretty important. Wasn't good in the shuttle or the three-cone, but when you turn on the tape, you see Starks moving just fine, in my opinion. Starks in Green Bay, Wisconsin for the NFL draft. Here's what he had to say about his Eagles top 30 visit. It was really good. I got to meet with everybody there, a bunch of the guys that are on the Eagles right now. It'd be awesome just to kind of unite with some of those Georgia guys and have the opportunity to play with them again. But, you know, the cards will land where they may. Again, important to emphasize, we can't always obsess over NFL combine drills and the relative athletic score. The tape, especially for this player, differs from some of that stuff with Malaki Starks, and I'd be comfortable if the Eagles took him in round 1. Anthony DeBona, he's been doing some great draft coverage in covering the Eagles in the lead up to tonight, and he has great Eagles coverage all the time, but specifically here for the purpose of today's show, giving him a shout out for what he's done pre-draft. And he put out this awesome graphic, and here's how he detailed it, right? Here are all of Philadelphia's reported visits in a concise graphic that includes each player's rank according to the NFL mock draft database's consensus big board. So this is not his big board. This is the NFL mock draft database's big board. He's also added each player's relative athletic score in this update. For those who don't know, we've talked about this a lot on the show. The Eagles like prospects who have an 8 or higher relative athletic score, and a lot of the players they've selected, really since 2016, when Howie Roseman took back general manager duties after being ousted by Chip Kelly, they take a lot of players, especially in the first 2 rounds, who go on pre-draft visits to the Eagles here. And so all of the pre-draft visits that the Eagles have had these prospects in on, Malaki Starks, Walter Nolen, Donovan Ezaraku, those are first-round grades according to this mock draft database. Second-round grades for these pre-draft visits, Maxwell Hairston, Josh Connerly, Trey Amos, Donovan Jackson, Nick Scorton, Tyleek Williams, TJ Sanders. The next wave, third-rounders, Olu Aladehu, edge rusher out of UCLA, Marcus Bow out of Purdue, Shamar Turner, Kevin Winston, Wyatt Milam, Charles Grant, Jacob Parrish, Anthony Belton. Then we have fourth-rounders, Dylan Fairchild and Elijah Roberts. We have some fifth-rounders, Jaden Blue, Jalen Travis, Jalen Reed, Kobe King. Some sixth-rounders, Tyler Barron, Justin Wally, Jalen Smith. A seventh-rounder, LaQuint Allen. And then an undrafted player in Raywan Lane, a safety out of Navy. So that gives you a good indication and a good hint as to which players could be Philadelphia Eagles by the end of the NFL draft. And obviously, we'll know on Saturday afternoon as the draft wraps up. Let's round out with this. We know that Howie Roseman is very strict about signing, drafting, and bringing players into the Philadelphia Eagles who have a history with domestic violence. He said at the NFL Combine, if there are issues there, we will take these players off our board. We won't bring them into our building. But then last week, when he did that press conference alongside Nick Sirianni, he changed his tune just a bit. He also said that Big Dom is the best in the business across the NFL of vetting prospects in the pre-draft process so that the Eagles know which players they're comfortable with bringing in. And so Josh Norris, an NFL draft analyst for Underdog, put out his mock draft. Guess who he has going to the Eagles at number 32? Friend of the show, Anthony DeBona, said, I have a ton of respect for Josh, but I'd be shocked if Howie Roseman brought Mike Green into the NovaCare complex. I understand the value is great at that point from a talent standpoint, but a player's personality and fit means so much in Philadelphia. Josh Norris responds to that and says this, I'm not certain he is off their board. Sounds as though he has sources from a national standpoint. But then Zach Berman responded to that, and he said that Josh has good senses on this one. ... Zach Berman is very plugged in to the Philadelphia Eagles. That tells me that despite some of these issues of some concerns that Mike Green has in the pre-draft process, might not be to a point where the Eagles have taken him off their board. He has a couple of sexual assault allegations from high school and in college, but he's never been proven guilty in those instances. Now, if all of that checks out, I would love Mike Green to the Philadelphia Eagles at 32. He is very much a player like Nolan Smith. Similar size at 6'3", 251. Similar players as far as the twitch, bend, and speed. Mike Green and Nolan Smith, they both play with violence, energy, and physicality. Mike Green would be a great scheme fit, probably more comfortable being a stand-up edge rusher. He has a wrestling background that shows up on tape. He's very nasty. He's good against the run. He's excellent in breaking the pocket down and sacking the quarterback. He had eye-popping 2024 production, 23 TFL, 17 sacks, both statistics, led the country. The concern with him, he's 250 pounds. He's not going to get a lot bigger. He's worked hard to get his weight up to that point, but he is a little bit slighter. But we saw that jump from Nolan Smith. We see players in a similar build like Von Miller. Mike Green reminds me of a Von Miller, Nolan Smith type of player, and the value at 32 would be incredible because Mike Green is a top 10 player in this draft in my eyes. The big question before we dip on out, next time we'll see you, we'll be live. Who will the Eagles take tonight? Drop your predictions down below. In my final mock draft, I had the Eagles trading up for Walter Nolen.